Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premium media podcast. Every fortnight we get together, talk about movies, TV, and online content, and help you answer the question, why is this out on a Wednesday? We'll let you know in a second. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Join me today, Dylan Blight.
I thought you were going to say quantent or like quacknet. Oh no, it's not going to laugh for some reason. Anyway, hi.
Hey. Yes, we've got a big show. We've got we're talking about what's in our watch history, covering some news, giving you this week's top three. Of course, giving some time to the trailers, but of course, let's hit some housekeeping right here at the top. If you're a regular listener, you would notice that this is out later. The show is now moved to Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, or Standard Time when Daylight Savings, the scourge of the earth, comes to an end. But also, this format of the show will be now weekly instead of fortnightly. So I'll need to change my intro slightly. And yeah, that's the thing going forward. No more off-week spoiler casts. Dylan hated them, so they've been removed. Yeah, we will still do, spoiler casts when, they're appropriate, necessary, and of course for any new content. So, yeah, that's now you know. Yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Of course, a few things we've got content for elsewhere on the website. We've both watched Knock at the Cabin, the latest M. Night Shyamalan film starring Dave Bautista, Jonathan Groff, and Ben Aldridge, in which four seemingly strangers go visit a family who are holidaying in a remote cabin, invade the home, hold them hostage, and tell them they must make the decision to kill one of their family, otherwise doom the planet to the apocalypse. I got a review up on the website. I gave it 6.5. Knock at the Cabin is a classic case of a film that's fun, enjoyable in the moment, but on reflection you pick apart and come to see a lot of flaws. There's certainly fun to be had and some great performances to watch, but the film is not going to be memorable like Shyamalan's best films or his worst. Dylan, what did you think of Knock at the Cabin?
Yeah, I enjoyed it for the I enjoyed it when I was in the moment, but yeah, it's totally once you sort of step out of the cinema and you begin pulling apart at it, it really feels like it pulls its punches with any and all interesting thematic ideas that it plays with, and there's a bunch that it like will touch and then go and never come back to that again, or like, oh, I'm not going deeper on that, but like it's just, yeah, it almost feels like M. Night's just like a little bit scared. I don't know. Like it's an odd movie. Like I'm waiting the entire movie for the crescendo, for the deep metaphorical like essay. I don't know, something, and it doesn't happen. Like it just sort of, it's a movie. It fizzles out. Yeah. It's
not super satisfying, the conclusion.
No.
It's like, oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Those events
definitely
happens.
Yeah. Definitely some strong performances. Dave Bautista's obviously the standout in it. Again, proving he has like a much wider
range,
acting range than most people give him credit for. But everyone in it's like really, really good as well. And the cinematography and everything's good, making use of the mostly one locale setting. So yeah, it was a disappointing film, I would say.
Yeah, like you said. It's fun for like the first two acts, and then the ending kind of it fizzles out. It doesn't pay off all the setup that it's been doing all film, and then you pick apart all the different little things that why did this person do this? Why couldn't they have done this? Just change the channel. Yeah. But yeah, I've seen people really enjoy it. I've seen people like us very upset about it. So yeah. Knock at the Cabin in cinemas now. Dylan, you've got a review up for Skinamarink, this new horror film that I've seen people absolutely raving about.
Yeah, so you'll either love Skinamarink or loathe it, I feel like, is where this film falls. It's completely experimental. So the setup is it's the story, the bear story that's here is it's two kids wake up in the middle of the night and their parents are missing from the house and odd things start happening, like windows just start disappearing and fucking the toilet disappears at one stage and things start sticking to roofs. It's all like it sounds like it's just a very run-of-the-mill horror movie plot. And you could turn this story into just a run-of-the-mill horror story, but it's the way it's shot and the way it's all produced that's getting people to either say this thing's like the best thing in horror since sliced Jason masks. I don't know, or saying it's boring as all fuck. So both are completely right, because if that's how you feel, that's how I feel. It is shot interestingly, but again, it's a subjective opinion. It'll quite often, like I think the way I put it in my review is if you lay in bed at night and turn the lights off, stare at your roof, it's probably what you're going to be looking at for the majority of this film. Like, there are just shots of pure darkness with a little bit of light in the corner. The kids, you never see their faces. There's like there's a choice to basically always have them blurred out. You never really see their faces. Like, you'll see them off in the distance. When they go downstairs and they'll start watching TV, you'll just have like a several minute sequence and a shot of it. Like, you're just watching this 50s royalty-free cartoon play on the TV, and then like the kids are in the background talking. Even when there is dialogue, it's either muffled and you can't understand, or it's muffled and the director's chosen to put subtitles on screen to make sure you don't miss important pieces of dialogue. So then it's a thing of why something's subtitled and something's not, and that's it's a choice, because you know that some are and some aren't, and that's being done on purpose. But it's a slow. My problem with this movie is that it's just too long for what it is. It's like an hour 40. If this thing was like 80 minutes, I feel if you want it, like, this would be a perfect short. Yes. If you want to make it a feature length, I feel like you still have to, like, it's the bare minimum feature length, because my biggest problem is it's just way too drawn out. You could easily get the same effect in a much shorter movie. But like when like one of the kids goes upstairs and there's a part where like you just hear this voice. The sound design, again, some people saying it's terrible. I actually think the sound design's good. Like, that's the part that works for the movie. You just like the kid goes upstairs and you just hear in the background, you still hear the TV playing, and the one kid's just like walking around the room looking, seeing what's happening up there. You just hear a voice off in the side go like, check under the bed. You're like, oh, that's creepy. But like, so I've seen people say this scared the living fuck out of them, of a bored out of their mind. It's interesting. It's definitely being an interesting one to read about, and I'm sure people will still be talking about when they're talking about like horror movies of the 2023 or whatever over the last year. So yeah, it's an interesting movie.
All right. So you also wrote a review for another horror movie called Attachment.
Yes, Attachment I really liked. This is trying to dodge as many spoilers as I can, much like in my review, but it's a play on it's a play on a horror genre that you've seen done a lot, and there'll be a certain stage in the movie when you sort of think you sort of click onto what it is, but it also has like this key romance in it. So you've got these two characters, one played by Josephine Park, another one by Ellie Kendrick. This one of them is this Danish washed up sort of Danish actress, and the movie starts with her. She's in like an elf costume in a library, and another character bumps into her. She's this English student abroad, like studying or whatever, and like it just has the most like stereotypical romance start at the start of the movie, where they bump into each other, and of course they get a couple drinks, and it goes from there. Time skips ahead. They start spending more time together. There's this one sequence where they literally show under the table their feet just start getting closer and closer over their dates. It's all very cute. But then Ellie's character has this she has like a full on seizure. So then after that, she wants to go back home to England to be with her mum. And so they both decide to go. But when they get back to there, her mum is like a full sort of Orthodox Jewish woman who, believes in a lot of sort of superstitions and all these sorts of things, and she's very odd. So I guess that's where the movie starts to take some more interesting turns. I loved it's it's the movie completely relies on the tension being built out of character moments, and there's like no jump scares in this at all. It doesn't go for any of the cheap scares. The characters are really well written. The romance feels more fleshed out than you'll get in most horror movies or anything in the genre. So yeah, I think this is a really great movie, and definitely going to be one of Shudder's like hits to kick off the year with. So I would recommend watching this one over Skinamarink, which flip a coin on that one.
All right. Moving on to some stuff we haven't talked about elsewhere. Poker Face, new series on Stan, created by Ryan Johnson, the man behind the Knives Out series. This follows a woman played by Natasha Lyonne who has called Charlie Cale, who has the ability to tell if people are lying. She just has an innate ability to tell when people are lying to her. She doesn't know if it's a big lie, a little lie, but she can tell. She's working in a casino, and her friend is murdered, and she kind of finds herself in a situation where she's kind of trying to figure out what happened to her friend. It's a case of the week show, so each week she's in a new location, different murderers, different things happening. There is definitely a formulaic element to the show where it starts off with you seeing how the murder plays out exactly. So it's not like Knives Out where there's a mystery about how the murder took place and who was behind it. You know how it took place. It's the fun of the show is Charlie trying to figure out Charlie putting the pieces together of how the murder took place, and the relationships and catching people in their lives, and doling out her sense of justice at least. I'm really enjoying it. It's got a great cast. There's a ridiculous number of cool guest stars on the show. Like in the first episode is Adrian Brody, Benjamin Barrett, and
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman, slightly, I guess. There's a whole crazy list of people who were involved in the show. Very fun. She's just a really interesting character played by Natasha Lyonne. She's got like weird eccentricities. Like sometimes she just can't think of a word and struggles to come up with the word she's looking for and that kind of stuff. And a lot of the mysteries are really fun and like enjoyable to see play out. Whether it's trying to figure out how this person has been, her friend at the casino has been murdered and why, through to there's an episode where she happens to come across a barbecue joint, and she becomes friends with the main chef, and he suddenly decides he wants to become vegan. So his family murders him to stop him from shutting down the restaurant. It's just a really fun show. I've been really enjoying it.
How many episodes is it in? Because
it's 5 episodes so far. You've only watched 10. The one.
I've only watched the first one.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in you. But what did you think of the first?
Sorry,
at least the first episode.
First episode was fantastic. Without spoiling everything, for people who want to check it out, it's got that Ryan Johnson feel about it without, like, it doesn't feel like Knives Out or anything. It definitely feels more in line with Brick, I guess, but somewhere between Knives Out and Brick, I guess, is where this will lie. But yeah, just Natasha Lyonne is Natasha Lyonne, and she's fantastic. So yeah, if you enjoy her, just talking, that's like I feel like if you're a fan of Russian Doll, then I feel like you'd like this show because she's a character in herself. So, but all the dialogue's a lot of fun. I enjoy the setup. I enjoyed Adrian Brody in the first episode and everything. I really like the way the first mystery plays out. But yeah, the thing, even though I know it's mystery of the week after this, I appreciate that the first episode isn't really mystery of the week. It's it just sets up the overarching story because there is one. And the events of the first, just to clarify, I guess for people who haven't watched it, the events of the first episode is what leads to her having to travel. She's sort of on the run. She's on the run after the events of the first episode to some extent. And then every episode's her stopping somewhere and then discovering a mystery. But there's a reason she's traveling around and whatever else. And there is an overarching story to what's happening here.
She's also like very unlucky because everybody she comes across either dies or is
dies
accused of murder. So.
I'm definitely going to catch up though. Obviously, it's not for a lack of wanting to.
Yeah.
I was originally gonna I thought it was gonna be week by week, so I had it like in my notes, like, all right, review the first episode this week, and then like maybe I do a full season review when it's done. Is how it had in my head, and then it dropped like the first 4 episodes. I'm like, I'm out. I can't. I don't have time. Like, I can't do 4 episodes. I'm out. All right, I'll catch up later.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Stan things, you watched the new original film Transfusion, starring Sam Worthington.
Yeah. So this is. Hold on, let me look it up because I need to find the director's name, and he also co-stars. Because I thought it was what is his name? Matt Nable. So Matt Nable, most people would know, or at least I know from playing Ra's al Ghul in Arrow. That's all I've got.
That, or he's the voice of the NRL ads on the Fox.
Is he? Okay, so that's not what I'd know him from. I know he did something in NRL, but every time I see Matt Nable, it's Ra's al Ghul. So he co-stars in this, and he's the writer director. The plot is about, and I think this is probably the best thing Sam Worthington's done in years. I'll put that there, even though I don't know if he's done anything. He's been filming Avatar movies for 10 years. I don't know what the fuck.
So what you're saying is he's better in this than he is in Avatar, the biggest movie of the last decade.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's a more varied. It's got a little bit more to do here.
He's not blue, so I mean,
he's not blue. That's the start. Yeah, I was like, fuck, that's what you look like. I totally forgot. Sam Worthington and Matt Nable sort of were in the army or special forces or whatever you want to call them together. And the movie starts, so it does a whole bunch of time jumping around, and it smartly uses Sam Worthington's hair as a tell as to when the time place is. Although it's not really that confusing, but it's like, if you've got long hair, it's here, short hair, it's here, sort of whatever else is going on there. But at the start of the movie, you see that he has this like close relationship with Matt Nable's character. But then what happens is when he comes back, there's a period where his wife is in the car with his son when he's about, I don't know, his son's maybe like 5 at the point, and they have a car crash and his wife dies. So then in the following years, you've now got this sort of struggle where his son's getting into trouble at school. He was just, and they make sure to show you that he was just nice, like he was going to be like a super successful kid, but now like the traumas obviously fucked him up to a degree. And even Sam Worthington's character is now struggling with being a solo dad, and he's struggling to find successful work outside of being in special forces. And then Matt Nable's character comes back into his life, and he needs money at this point, and he offers him a job that is definitely not on the legal side of things, and he chooses to go forward with that, and that's sort of where the movie starts to take some interesting turns and stuff, I guess. But I enjoyed it. I feel like there's an element of it maybe just falling a bit too close to, like, it could feel like it's empowering sort of machoistic ideals and stuff, but I actually don't. I feel like it's the complete opposite of that. I just feel like it plays certain characters' ways just because that's how they are. So that's the way they're sort of written and portrayed, but I definitely feel like it's not going in that direction. But yeah, I feel like the performances of everyone in this is really good. It's shot well and everything, but it's not super memorable to the point that you'll be thinking about it for the rest of the year. But I would suggest watching it, especially if you want to, if you like watching Australian films. So here's one. So I like supporting and making sure, I appreciate that Stan always has things coming out, Australian created stuff. So yeah, and Sam Worthington's not blue in this.
That's good to know.
10 out of 10.
So I've been watching the new Apple TV Plus series Shrinking, starring Jason Segel, Harrison Ford, Jessica Williams, in which Jason Segel plays a therapist whose wife has died and is still very much in the grieving process. Trying to fill the void with drugs and women and that kind of stuff. You never see any of that.
Doesn't sound like he should be a therapist, but
no, it is coming on the other end. He's finally past that period. It's never too seedy or anything. She's just hanging out with people. You just pull. That's how it opens. But during this year, he's been neglecting his daughter, and now he's trying to put his life back together, rebuild his relationship with his daughter, and the way he's doing that, and also find fulfillment in his job, and the way he's doing that is by just telling his not sugarcoating anything for his patients, just straight up telling them what they need to know. Whether it's your husband's a piece of shit, you should leave him, or you've got rage issues. How about we go, do some fighting, like MMA stuff, to get some of your rage out and that kind of stuff. I'm really enjoying it. Obviously, it's created by Jason Segel, Brett Goldstein, and Bill Lawrence. So it's got the vibes of everything that those guys have all worked on. Jason Segel's fantastic. Harrison Ford is really funny. Like, is like a curmudgeon-y kind of like older dude, but
he's playing Harrison Ford.
No, but he's got he's playing that the one character that comes to mind, because obviously it's Bill Lawrence and he did Scrubs. It's kind of like a Dr. Cox kind of relationship. He's not super mean like Dr. Cox, but he's got that heart of gold underneath and like wants to help people and stuff. His character is currently dealing with the early stages of Parkinson's and that kind of stuff. So there's that element as well. Just a fantastic cast across the board, and just a lot of funny jokes and moments, and it's got the positivity that Apple TV has kind of got going for it. I wouldn't be surprised if this. Hopefully there's a big amount of word of mouth around this show, because it deserves it.
Fuck Ted Lasso.
I wouldn't say that, but
okay.
It's clearly that Brett Goldstein and Bill Lawrence are setting up their next job if Ted Lasso is going to come to an end.
Well, the rumors is last season anyway. I know they haven't confirmed it.
The rumors, yeah. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I put a clip of a moment from the show that made me laugh more than probably anything in the last couple of weeks. And it's just a dude telling someone to eat a dick. But yeah, the Shrinking. You should check it out. It's pretty great. 3 episodes out so far, so. Of course, it releases every Friday.
Was that just the premiere, or was it a 2-episode premiere and it's like week 2?
2-episode premiere this week too.
Yeah, because they usually drop
Yeah. I also watched the documentary series on Apple TV Plus, Super League: The War for Football. Now, I don't know if you saw this story. It was last year, of a bunch of the big teams across Europe, setting up to like do their own Super League, like separatist league. So it kind of goes into how the events played out. It only like lasted, like in the public at least, like a couple of days. But obviously behind the scenes, it's been something that's been in the works for a long time. And the series kind of delves into why they would make this move, setting up all the different parties who would be interested in then delving into like the fan reaction and that kind of stuff, and to the extent where the British government was kind of trying to shut it down as well. And also like I feel like it does a fair job of like delving into why the people who are still pushing for this Super League would want that, and why it could potentially be successful for everybody. But yeah, if you're a football fan, I think it's definitely worth a watch, just to get a fuller understanding of not only how the Champions League and European football works, but how the events that played out last year like kind of happened. A more detailed look at it. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching that. Lots of interesting characters. Like it's great. Like the head of UEFA and the top person on the Super League side were like best friends, to the extent where the UEFA boss was the godfather of the other guy's daughter, and now they just don't talk anymore because of what happened here. Massive betrayal. It's crazy. Dylan, you checked out the film Carnifex.
Yeah, this is the Drop Bear one. Australian film where they go out into the middle of what?
This is the film that there was a big controversy, like kind of.
There's controversy about it potentially ripping off a book, but then I've never read the book, but then I've seen other people who have wrote online and have been like, I've read the book and like this starts out the same, but then there's nothing like it after that, like initial premise of people go into forest. So yeah, but that was an initial controversy. So the setup is documentary filmmaker wants to go into wants to be taken into bush. They're trying to make a documentary about Australian wildlife, like following the fires, like and how they're like what people do to help get them, move them, or how they survive. You know, like just a general like following the major bushfires around Australia and stuff. So, but once they get out there, of course, there is it's a drop bear. I mean, they call it Carnifex, but it's a fucking, there's literally, I can't help but spoil one scene. There is literally a moment where a dude is looking for this creature. And of course, for the majority of the film, you don't really see what it looks like. They do the whole, don't reveal it until the last act of the movie sort of thing. But there's a scene where a dude's like holding a gun and he's looking for it. And I found this movie a lot funnier than it's probably supposed to be completely honest. But he's holding the gun, he's like looking, he's like, hey, what's going on? He's looking for his dog or whatever. And then he just like looks up as like his blood like trickles onto his face. And he like looks up and he hears a scream and a thud because the thing dropped bears onto him. Fucking dead. I don't know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I don't actually know if it's a particularly good movie, but the lead dude that's in it, one of the lead dudes, was also in the most recent season of Bump. So I like for that reason I was like, I don't know why I'm saying this dude a lot, but his performances in both this and what's his name? Harry Greenwood. So he's I reckon he's gonna go for it because I remember him being in Nightingale as well, which is like I don't know. I reckon I will see this dude around. I mean, that's my shout out at the moment. This dude's performances between two movies, different genres, this and Bump, playing like he's like a love interest in Bump. So Ollie's like new love interest in season 2. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was dumb fun. I found I found a lot of it completely ridiculous, but I was having a good time. Is it a good horror movie? Not really. Is it fun? Yeah. That's where I fall.
All right, let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. I've been watching the series Lockwood and Co. So this is a new series based on a series of books, but it's brought to television by Joe Cornish. It follows a bunch of young, so it's set in an alternate like world where this problem happens. Which set off, which brought ghosts and stuff into the like prominence, I guess. So if anybody dies, they become like a ghost, but only young people can see them and have talents to be able to hear them out or see it, like stuff like that. So this whole world around has been built up about combating these ghosts. There's a bunch of agencies that have popped up to like clear houses of ghosts and of dead tenants and that kind of stuff. There's this young woman called Lucy, who goes to New York after a traumatic experience in her hometown, joins up with Anthony Lockwood, who is running his own independent firm, who don't have any adult supervision or anything. Completely independent, and they set about clearing houses, trying to keep their company alive, and of course there's a larger mystery kind of playing out. It's enjoyable, it's dumb fun. I think the young actors are quite good with what they're asked to do. The special effects are not like super impressive, but they're pretty solid. It's pretty clear that it's adapting two different books, like two books in a series, just because of the way the mystery kind of is laid out. Like one storyline goes over the first 4 episodes, another storyline goes over the next 4 episodes. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea, an interesting world, and seems to be doing reasonably solid numbers on Netflix. If it gets to 6th season, I'd be keen to check it out, because it ends on kind of a cliffhanger or like a big reveal, which I'm sure I could find out in the books if I really wanted to. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's solid fun.
I have this on my watch list because I really enjoy Joe Cornish's stuff usually, and all his stuff's YA, British, apocalypse.
I haven't really watched any of his stuff, but I get the same tone as like what was the King Arthur thing that he did recently?
The Kid That Would Be King or
something like that.
Something like
I guess
that,
similar vibes to that, and like
That's a lot of fun, that movie.
Or like a ghosty version of Attack the Block. I don't know.
Yeah. I enjoy both. Yeah, so that movie and Attack the Block, obviously the ones I'd say, like his two major things, the King Arthur thing and that. So,
all right. And Dylan, you've been watching Kunk on Earth.
Yeah, I finished it. I think. Yeah, I finished it. This is a lot of fun. This is fucking hilarious. This is if you're talking about like things that making you laugh, this is the thing that's been making me laugh this week. So apparently this is the second season. I never heard of it. The first season was just on BBC or whatever. It was just like CanCon Life or something.
Apparently about Britain.
Okay, CanCon Britain. Now it's CanCon thing. The title is obviously purposely dumb. And if you see it on Netflix, you scroll past, you go, "What they said? What did you call me, Netflix?" It's so I can't remember the woman's name, but like it's she's playing a character similar to Sacha Cohen Baron playing Ali G or Borat or whatever. And it's similar to that in that it's odd because this is a fake documentary that is both really good at explaining the history of the world in 5 episodes. Well, I say really good, like doing a sufficient job at explaining world history in 5 episodes, while also being rather funny and having these amazing interviews where she's interviewing like real professors and stuff like that, and just having to explain the type of humor this goes for. There's a moment where she's like, I can't remember if it's like Romans or whatever. She's like, "All right, I'm going to ask you, Romans, you tell me if what I said they invented it or they mastered it." And then she like gives this person, she's like, language or something, and the guy will be like, mastered it or invented it. It's like, sports, mastered, invented it. And then she's like, anal bleaching. And the dude just like looks obviously behind to like the producers of the show, and he's like, like this, that's the sort of, just like her completely mispronouncing things. And there's another scene where she's talking to someone about the space trip and finds out a dog died in space. And then she starts like actually crying and getting really upset. And then she's like, "Well, I think we need to have a moment of silence now because I didn't know there's a fucking dog that's up in space dead." It's definitely my type of humor. I don't know if it falls maybe a bit too much on the cringe side for Ash, but I had a lot of fun watching it. I quite enjoyed it.
All right. That's everything that's in Watch This Tree. Let's move into a little bit of film news. And really, there's one story that dominated headlines, and that's James Gunn finally revealing what they're doing over at DC. He promised that at the end of January they would be revealing everything that's on their slate currently. And they did on the very last day of January. They announced the first chapter in this new DCU will be called Gods and Monsters, announcing 10 different projects. Also clarifying current movies that are on their slate, confirming that The Flash will be coming out this year, and will be kind of the setting off point for the Flashpoint, some would say, to this new DCU. Aquaman is coming out still. Blue Beetle is still coming out. Shazam, of course, has been in its own corner for a while and is coming out later this year. They also kind of confirmed that they're open to the idea of Ezra Miller returning as the Flash if it does work. I suspect that's more reliant on how the numbers for the Flash 2 and what the reception is to films over the next couple of years. Also, just not shooting the star of their movie down before that movie actually comes out. But that's a thing. They also confirmed that they'll be putting the Elseworld branding on anything that is not part of their main DCU. So the Batman Part 2, which has got a release date in 2025, I think, off the top of my head. Set to release in cinemas October 2025, as well as Joker Deus, or whatever it's called. I'm excited to learn how to pronounce that.
Joker 2.
Joker 2, and Teen Titans Go will all be Elseworlds tales. The still in production or pre-production J.J. Abrams' Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman movie will also be an Elseworlds story. And I suspect we'll get more Elseworlds stuff in the future. They also confirmed that the Penguin TV series is still in the works. So that's promising. But yeah, a bunch of new projects. So let's just run through them. On the movie front, the big one. The only one with a release date July 11th, 2025, we'll be getting Superman Legacy, which will mark the start of the DCU, as Saffron put it. But it will not be an origin story of the proverbial Man of Steel. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing in the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. His kindness in a world that thinks of kindness as old-fashioned. Gunn is writing the project. Saffron said he hopes Gunn can be persuaded perhaps to direct it. Gunn said, Superman is for everyone. That's a four-quadrant film that should speak to everyone in the world. Dylan, are you excited for Superman Legacy?
Yeah, sure. My feelings on the whole James Gunn slate of stuff is cool. I'll care when there's stuff to care about. Like, it's just a bunch of titles and things. The only thing I felt like was exciting was just the most no-brainer Elseworld branding thing, which is something that obviously, like in comics, they've got the Black Label and all these sorts of things to separate what is part of the main run. Like, these comics are all connected. These ones are their own standalone stories. How it's taken this long to just simply brand that in movies, it's not that hard to understand. I have no idea why it's been that hard to get like to reach this point. It's fucking dumbass. But the rest of it, cool. I'm keen to see what James Gunn does with the DC universe. But yeah, I'm very much also just like, I've nothing. Like, I like James Gunn, but I have nothing to be excited about. I still have nothing to be excited about. I don't know why we needed this slate, to be honest, other than just trying to appease the DC fanboys or whatever. I didn't need it. We don't need to know this. Like, I don't know why it needed to be an event, a video. I was like, whatever.
No, I think it's like James Gunn's push to like be very open and honest with the audience, and like obviously that's an element of trying to build goodwill on a company that's kind of been, as he said, fucking up the storytelling for the last 10 years.
I feel like it's fine to like list it, but like, I don't know. It's just like a non-event. Like, cool.
But the actual reveal of the slate is probably a non-event, but also them talking about the people who are behind the scenes, writers like Drew Goddard, Jeremy Slater, Christina Hobson, Crystal Henry, and Tom King, being part of like the architects or whatever of what they're doing in the DC universe. Then we're dropping the E, from what I understand. I think it's exciting for fans that you're obviously building up good press and like also reaffirming that the films that are coming out this year matter, potentially. They're not completely ruling them out, as I think they have not completely confirmed that Aquaman is not returning and that kind of stuff. I don't think they confirmed that Jason Momoa is playing Lobo. There's like a bunch of stuff they kind of shot down. James Gunn even said he didn't fire Henry Cavill. He never offered him a job in the first place. So a bunch of
Henry Cavill got fucked.
I mean, he got fucked. He didn't get fired.
He got fucked. Someone gave him a handshake deal in a bathroom somewhere, and that was from DC, and it was not part of James Gunn's plan.
Yeah. So other movie projects, The Authority, which is a Wildstorm series that was created by Jim Lee back in the 90s, that eventually got folded into... the series was created by Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch. It's set in the Wildstorm universe, which Jim Lee created back in the 90s. It was eventually like bought out and then incorporated back into the DC universe when the New 52 initiative happens. So it's a bunch of, a big superhero team, which is, I guess, interesting considering we're not going to get a Justice League movie anytime soon, probably. They're also doing The Brave and the Bold, which is set to be a Batman and Robin film centered around Damian Wayne, the son of Batman. So we will be getting another Batman actor who isn't Robert Pattinson. So that's interesting. As well, they also want to integrate the whole Bat family, so it'd be interesting to see what other characters we see show up from there. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So this is a film based on Tom King's 21-22 comic run on this comic book series of the same name, following Supergirl adventures across the universe, but she's kind of very different to the Supergirl that we've kind of known, probably from the TV series and stuff. Got a bit more of a hard edge and, this is a Supergirl who's lived on the remnants of Krypton for several years before coming to Earth and that kind of stuff. Really interesting, obviously, Tom King, the current DC Golden Boy. So, it makes sense that he would be involved and they're kind of pushing this. Swamp Thing is getting a movie adaptation. Crazy, because it's only been, I want to say, less than 5 years since the TV series that got cancelled after 1 year, which was well received and people liked. Apparently, James Mangold is rumored to be attached. He tweeted out a picture of Swamp Thing, so that would be cool. On the TV front, we're getting the animated series called Creatures Commandos, which follows on a bunch of monsters fighting in, maybe in the past. We don't know. It stars Rick Flag Sr., who's Rick Flag's dad. So that's the thing. Sure. We're also getting a Waller TV show, which will star Viola Davis, which is a smart move, keeping one of the best actresses in the world on your slate. So this is going to be set between season 1 and season 2 of Peacemaker, and will involve like the Peacemaker team probably doing Task Force X stuff. We're also getting Lanterns, which is the Green Lantern TV series that they've been trying to make forever. It's being remodeled and remade again. I guess like they're changing a lot of elements. It's going to be focused on Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart solving some kind of mystery. They said it influences True Detective, which is interesting. It'd be interesting to see if all the people who have been cast to get uncasted for that series. Also, they're going to be doing Paradise Lost, which is going to be a Game of Thrones-ish story set on the island of Themyscira before the birth of Diana, aka Wonder Woman. That could be quite an interesting idea, I guess. Interesting, obviously Wonder Woman is not on the slate at all. But it sounds like it could be a cool idea.
I think Gal Gadot's gone.
Yeah. And then Booster Golds, one of my characters I have an attachment to, who is a man from the future who comes to the past using future technology to become a superhero. With Gunn describes him as basically Booster Gold is imposter syndrome as a superhero. So that'll also be a TV series. So yeah,
it's a fucking doctor. It's like Doctor Who, but superhero. He steals the TARDIS and travels in time and pretends to be a hero.
And accidentally becomes one, I guess.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think this is a bunch of interesting stuff, and obviously it feels very James Gunn. Especially like Creature Commandos was the first thing it brought up. Is like, what the fuck? This kind of makes sense. Yeah, I'm keen. I'm excited. It's built up hype. You get hope. It's about building hope, Dylan. That's what it's about. Let us have some hope.
I'm not unhopeful. I'm just not excited either. I'm completely neutral.
Yep. They also said their plans are to release 2 movies and 2 TV series every year. So we'll see how they stick to that. Yeah. And they also hope to have people who appear in animation also appear in live action with the same actor, which seems like an interesting choice.
I follow this. Yeah, do it. Star Wars did it. Saul Guerrero, done.
Yeah, okay.
Tano, not so much.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So look forward to finding out more DC news in the next several years. Netflix announced their big new password sharing protocol, which would involve you connecting to your main Wi-Fi every 31 days to confirm that you're part of the household or whatever. That was quickly pulled down and said it was still in beta testing in certain South American countries at the moment. But there was a massive furor around it. Lots of jokes and memes about it. Dylan, do you think Netflix is actually going to follow through with this password thing?
Yes. They didn't say it wasn't a thing. They just said it's in beta testing. Like, they're just rolling it out in certain countries first. Oh, yeah. Yes, they're going to go for it. They've been talking about it for so long. They're going to go for it.
Do you think it's actually going to be successful there? All the signs point to, hey, as soon as you do this, we're all going to pirate stuff.
No, it'll be successful. I'm saying it now.
Okay.
I reckon there is the vocal minority of I'm going to pirate stuff if you do this doesn't compare to the people we don't see on Twitter who are happy to probably just subscribe if like the convenience. They're like, fuck it, I'll subscribe then.
I mean,
Whatever.
also tied into this news this past couple of weeks was a story that like the number of people who have subscribed to the ad-supported tier has like doubled in the past quarter or whatever. So you know, it wouldn't surprise me if like it does. They don't take this massive hit that people expect they'll take if they.
I don't think they're going to take a massive hit. No,
and I don't think it's that's too much of an ask. You know,
to pay for stuff.
Well, yeah, that, and also you know you have to connect to a Wi-Fi like every 31 days or whatever if that's what they're planning to do. Yeah. I mean, the only thing would be what happens if you have to change your modem or something. Like,
well, it just goes off your IP address. So.
What if you move house? Do you have to let them know you moved house?
Yeah, you would just update your profile.
What if you're what if you don't have a home IP? You know, what if you're a vagrant who has a hitchhiker who has Netflix?
I'd like to take this moment to let you know that I'm not a spokesperson for Netflix.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll find someone who can answer all these questions sometime down the line. The other news story, quickly bring up, Andrea Riseborough has been cleared of all potential charges in her quest to become Best Actress. The Academy ran an inquest into her campaign to be nominated and found that, you know, what Academy CEO said that after review of the two Leslie's campaign tactics were called in question, the Academy has determined the activity in question does not rise to the level that the film's nomination should be rescinded. However, we did discover social media and outreach campaigning tactics that cause concern. These tactics are being addressed with the responsible parties directly. So yeah, it seems like we won't see this again.
This whole thing's been dumb. I know, like the whole it's always campaigns are always built around people with the most money to push their movies or actors or whatever, and now suddenly they're like, this we better investigate this. I'm like, I know it's weird.
I mean, the thing is, they decided to do it at the last minute. You know, it's a timing thing, and like obviously there's the social media element of as well of like getting all their friends to.
Oh no!
No. I think it's. I don't think there's anything wrong with it necessarily. It's because of the timing of like we have this massive Oscar campaign season where a bunch of like award shows happen or whatever. And this movie that nobody has heard about suddenly gets this massive push by a bunch of powerful Hollywood people at the very last minute to get her a nomination. It just looks bad, I guess. If you really believe that this was an important film, why weren't you pushing it like 2 months earlier? Why weren't you trying to compete for all these other award shows or whatever?
Hate the player, not the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. But I don't think she's going to win anyway. So I mean, I don't it's definitely just going to be one of those history book things. But obviously, it's a big win for the company behind the movie because now. I'm sure a bunch of people are watching it because she got nominated. I know it's getting an actual film release here in Australia, so I mean, it's a big win for them. So, let's move on to giving some thumbs to trailers. First trailer for this week: Big George Foreman: The Miraculous Story of the Once and Future Heavyweight Champion of the World. Directed by George Tillman Jr., starring Chris Davis, Jasmine Matthews, John Margaro, Sullivan Jones, Lawrence Gillard Jr., Sonia Son, and Forrest Whitaker, follows the remarkable life and times of Foreman, from Olympic gold medalist to world heavyweight champion from the Rumble in the Jungle with Muhammad Ali and Zaria, finding his faith, retiring and becoming a preacher. When financial hardship hits his family and church, he steps back into the ring and regains the championship at age 45, becoming the oldest heavyweight champion in boxing history. Dylan, what did you think of trailer 4, Big George Foreman?
I'm going one up, one down. I feel like George Foreman's an interesting dude, like, because I remember my dad telling me about him when I was a kid, He was from the angle of literally that thing we own called a George Foreman that's made by a dude who used to be a boxer. And when he told me when I was like 10, I was like, what? I was like, that's crazy. And I still wonder now how many people don't even realize that George Foreman's like, the dude used to be like a boxer. Yeah. But the trailer just very like paint by numbers, nearly gives away the whole movie. Yeah, so, I'll go one up, one down.
Yeah, I'll go one up, one down as well. I think, as someone who, like, off the top of their head don't know his story, I was like, oh shit, is this a Christianity movie? He suddenly jumps into preaching and it's like, oh, is that what, he turned over a new leaf and it's just, the rest of the movie is going to be about God and stuff. But obviously it goes a completely different way. I feel like it's important to show a fair portion of the movie and like give an overall arch of the, for people who do know the story, you get an idea of how much of his life it's going to cover and that kind of stuff. But yeah, solid. I did enjoy that they made the reference to the grill at the very end of the trailer. That's a fun bit. So yeah, this is coming to cinemas in Australia the 25th of May, 2023. Next trailer is called 88, unrelated to 85. Directed by Eremos, starring Brandon Victor Dixon, Natari Norton, Orlando Jones, Thomas Sadowski, William Fletcher, and Amy Sloan. Femi Jackson is the financial director for a super PAC that backs a front-runner presidential campaign. After discovering unusual patterns in donation, he enlists the help of an investment blogger to dig a little deeper, though they follow the campaign money trail back to its nefarious origins in a race against time to uncover the truth before the primaries. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer for 88?
I'm going double thumbs up. I have no idea if there's like based on a book or some wild thing happening here, but the trailer itself, I was like, okay, like we're going. This is a wild turn of events we got here. We got uncovering the secret donations. They're from Nazis. Why would they do that? Dude's black. I don't know what, like, that doesn't make sense. This Nazis, Nazis like, we wouldn't donate to a black potential president. I'm like, you probably wouldn't. So what's going on here? Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'll go double thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm double thumbs up as well. I think this is a really interesting trailer, as it's a film that I knew absolutely nothing about. Apparently it debuted at some smaller film festival last year. It's finally getting a release in America. But yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. An interesting thriller, very different take, and probably, I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that possibly happens. So, yeah, it's interesting to see Orlando Jones as like a potential presidential campaign nominee. So yeah. So this is releasing in America on February 17th. No confirmed Australian release date. Next trailer, The Boogeyman, directed by Rob Savage, starring Madison Hu, Vivian Lyra Blair, Sophie Thatcher, David Dushman, Chris Messina, and Janie Verdon. Still reeling from the tragic death of their mother, a teenage girl and her little sister find themselves plagued by a sadistic presence in their house and struggle to get their grieving father to pay attention before it's too late. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for The Boogeyman? Based on the Stephen King novel, not on the WWE character.
Yes, good point. Yeah. I've never actually watched, like, everyone knows the story of The Boogeyman. I watched the 2005 film, I think. The mid 2000s one. That was shit. So, but I've never read the book. I'm keen for this one. Trailer was good. I'm going double thumbs up. It doesn't seem like super outside the norm of the genre or anything, but like, I don't know, between Rob Savage, who I liked his Host movie. I didn't like Dashcam, but like that's 50-50. I like Chris Messina, whatever his name is, and then Sophie Thatcher, of course. So I'm going double thumbs up. I'm keen for this.
I'm going one up, one down. I think it sets itself well with like setting up this with obviously a long clip of the young girl like dealing with this creature in a room. I think that's all.
Never look under the bed.
Yeah, it's the little light thing, rolling it under. That's cool visually, but the rest of the trailer, it's like, oh, okay, I don't know what's happening here. I'm sure people who read the books would be interested in like that kind of stuff, but or enjoy horror movies, but as someone who does not,
Yeah, I was like,
you know, yeah. So this is coming to Australian cinemas on the 1st of June, 2023. Next trailer, Murder Mystery 2, directed by Jeremy Garlick, starring Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston, Mark Strong, Melanie Laurent, Jodie Turner-Smith, and Adil Akhtar. After solving their first mystery, Nick and Audrey Spitz have quit their jobs as a cop and hairdresser respectively to become full-time private detectives, but are having difficulty getting the upstart agency on the map. When they're invited to the private-only wedding of their friend and the Maharaja, they are given the chance to prove themselves when it is unexpectedly kidnapped. Dylan, what do you think of Murder Mystery 2 trailer?
Double thumbs down. Much like my thoughts on watching the first trailer for the movie, I never watched that one either. The chemistry between Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston looks good, but everything else looks absolutely terrible.
No, this is one up, one down for me, and it's probably going to be like a late night watch. I'd never watched the first movie, but maybe I do, you know. Adam Sandler has been, you know, it's a dumb mystery. They're going to France. The guy, he comes out of the truck, he looks so cool while it's on fire, and then gets hit by a garbage truck. Funny. You know, I don't think it looks terrible. I think, you know, obviously it looks like they've put some money behind this, so it must have been a reasonable success when the first movie came back in 2019. So, yeah, I might check this out. So this is releasing on Netflix on the 31st of March. Last trailer for this week, Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, directed by, surprise, surprise, Guy Ritchie, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Dar Salim, Alexander Ludwig, Anthony Starr, Jason Wong, Johnny Lee Miller, and Emily Beecham. During the war in Afghanistan, a local interpreter risks his life to carry an injured sergeant across miles of grueling terrain. Dylan, what did you think of The Covenant?
You know, I'll go one up, one down. The trailer's a bit all over the place, but the general, like, story, from what I could gather, I'm intrigued by. It doesn't seem to be going for a full, like, America hoorah vibe. It seems to be dude goes back in to save a Iraqi soldier that saved his life. That's what I gathered, I guess, is the plot, right? And then, like, sort of going from there. So, yeah, I'll go one up, one down.
Yeah, I'm going to put one down as well. I think it's interesting. This is so tonally different to what Guy Ritchie's been doing recently.
Well, he does one for the Ritchie fans and then one for something else, I feel. Like, he'll do A Gentleman, and then he'll do the Jason Statham super serious one, and then he'll do Operation Fortune, and now he's doing this. And then, you know, I guess.
But do you think he's done? He did Aladdin, Gentleman, Operation Fortune, then this. It's so weird.
No, but I mean, Wrath of Man was amongst all that. It's the one
Wrath of Man, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love, you know, at least he's working. He's pumping them out. Yeah, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal looks good. Dar Slim looks good. You know,
whenever I think of Gyllenhaal in movie, like, obviously he did Jarhead, which was this, like,
war movie.
It was an like, war movie. And they made a bunch of sequels to it, which were, like, completely missed the point of the original. But, so, yeah, it's interesting, because I don't think I've seen Jake Gyllenhaal do ever do another war movie.
Yeah. This kind of feels like a bunch of movies that we've seen of, like, we're going to extract a person out of the war zone. But he just happens to be somebody, a Muslim person who saved him against the Taliban. It was cool to see, like, Alexander Ludwig and Anthony Starr pop up, I guess. So this is releasing in the US on the 21st of April. There is currently no Australian confirmed date. Let's do this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
The Sundance Film Festival is closed, done its full run. Bunch of different movies were shown, talked about. Some have been bought, some have not been bought. But, you know, obviously Sundance, the biggest film festival arguably in the world, or like one of the big ones that we see a bunch of movies kind of come out from and talk about for the rest of the year. This week's top 3 is top 3 Sundance films we're excited to watch. So yeah, Dylan, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Magazine Dreams, the one everyone's been talking about, where Jonathan Majors is playing a bodybuilder, and I don't really know anything else other than that. Apparently, it's good. He's big. But the talk coming out of it had me excited.
All right. My number 3 is Shortcomings. So this is a comedy film directed by Randall Park, based on a comic, starring Justin H. Min. Just a bunch of friends like dealing with relationships and dumb stuff in, like, I want to say San Francisco. Justin H. Min plays like a movie theater manager. Looks like a fun time. I like Randall Park. I'm excited to see what he does. Dylan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Flora and Son, the new John Carney film, his first film since Sing Street, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Eve Hewson. I don't really know anything other than it's about it's going to be some sad story about a dude. It's like one's a mom, one's a son. They're playing music, and that's directed by John Carney. I mean,
Flora and Son is my number 1. So, like you said, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Eve Hewson. Description is Flora, a single mother who argues with her son Max in an attempt to find him a hobby, retrieves a guitar from a dumpster, and discovers that one person's rebel can be family salvation. Pretty much her learning the guitar from Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's like a failed musician. I'm sure, basic John Carney, fun, heartfelt moments are sure to come. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. That was bought by Apple, so it'll be coming to Apple TV sometime this year. Dylan, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is the Brandon Cronenberg film Infinity Pool that has got a lot of buzz coming out of the screening, of course. Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth lead. It's apparently really fucked up. Basically explores the excessive of riches and such things. But there's one clip online that I've just seen where Mia Goth's just like streaming like, "What's the matter?" It's had me laugh. But apparently it's a messed up movie. But yeah, the trailer's really good. And I'm keen to watch it.
All right. And to round out our top 3s, my number 2 was Theatre Camps. This is a film written by Molly Gordon, Ben Platt, and 2 more of their friends that I can't remember off the top of my head. And it is a mockumentary about a group of workers at a theatre camp who are trying to save the camp from financial ruin. But the founder of the camp falls into a coma right before the events of the camp. Apparently very well received at Sundance, got a huge round of standing ovation. Got a great looking cast. Yeah, it's definitely one I want to watch later this year. Picked up by Searchlight, so probably will be getting a release either on Disney Plus or probably in theaters. So yeah, that's exciting. Lots of good films there. And even more films that we didn't get to mention. Like, there's a lot of good stuff that came out of Sundance this year that we'll be seeing throughout the year. But Dylan, those films are so far away. I need to know, this week, what do you want to watch?
This week, what I want to watch is The Whale. Whether or not I'll be able to is a completely different question. But in a dream world from the movies releasing this week, I know there's a new segment. You posted Enchanty. I assumed that this, because now this releases on Wednesdays, it's like, what are we looking forward to watching on Thursdays? That would make the most sense, right?
Or releasing Friday.
Yeah. Well, anything that's out in the next, this week, not next week. So yeah, The Whale would be my pick of things I would like to watch this week.
All right. This week I want to watch Kaguya-sama Love is War, The First Kiss That Never Ends. This is the film set after the anime that I talked about last episode, releasing cinemas. A dumb romantic comedy. Well, not dumb. A fun romantic comedy about 2 kids, high school students who want the other one to confess their love for them before they'll start dating. Yeah, it's set at Christmas. It's a weird time to release it, but yeah. Again, I'm also hopeful that I'll be able to see this in cinemas sometime this week, but the scheduling is not working at the moment, so yeah. We'll see. Alright, let us know what you want to watch this week. What's on your top 3 Sundance films you're excited for, or anything else that we talked about on this week's episode of What Do You Want to Watch, by letting us know on Twitter, by going to explosion.com/Twitter, or jump to our Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, leave us 5 stars, anywhere we can leave 5 stars, tell people about the show, or head over to explosion.com, check out all our news, reviews, and podcasts. And if you enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.